Walk into a Japanese bedroom, and the first thing you'll notice is what isn't there. No pile of clothes on a chair that never gets worn. No stack of half-read books glaring at you from the nightstand. No blinking chargers, no tangled cords, no clutter quietly humming in the corners of the room. And here's the strange part. It's not because Japanese homes are bigger. They're often much smaller than ours. It's because they've understood something most of us never learned. The bedroom is not a storage unit. It's the one room where your nervous system is supposed to finally let go. Most people treat their bedroom like a junk drawer they happen to sleep in. And then they wonder why they lie awake at night feeling tense, restless, vaguely unsettled, without ever knowing why. What I'm about to share with you are 12 things Japanese people almost never keep in their bedroom. Some of them will seem obvious once you hear them. Others will genuinely surprise you. And one of them, the one near the end, is something almost every single person watching this keeps within arm's reach of their pillow right now, completely unaware of what it's quietly doing to their sleep, their mood, and even their sense of self. By the end of this, you won't just want to clean your room. You'll see it completely differently. Stay with me because this isn't about tidying. It's about reclaiming the one space that's supposed to belong entirely to your peace. Let's start with number 1, and it's the one that hides in plain sight. Number 1. Work. Not just a laptop. Not just a desk shoved into the corner because there was nowhere else to put it. I mean work in every form. The emails you answer from bed. The reports you glance at before sleep. The subtle presence of your job sitting in the same room where you're supposed to rest. In traditional Japanese living, spaces have purpose. A room for tea. A room for sleep. A room for gathering. When you sleep where you work, your brain never gets the signal that the day is over. It stays half alert, half ready, waiting for the next task. You lie down, but you don't truly arrive. The cost isn't just poor sleep. It's the slow erosion of the boundary between who you are when you're producing and who you are when you're simply allowed to exist. Take the work out of the bedroom, and you're not just moving a laptop. You're telling your mind there is a place where nothing is required of you. And most people haven't had that place in years. Number 2. Mirrors facing the bed. This one feels almost superstitious at first, but there's real psychology underneath it. In many Japanese homes, mirrors are covered or angled away from where you sleep.
Why?
Because a mirror facing the bed keeps a part of your brain watching. Even in dim light, movement, reflection, the vague sense of another presence keeps the primitive part of your mind subtly on guard. You may not notice it consciously, but your body does. There's a reason you sleep more deeply in a room where nothing seems to be looking back at you. Angle the mirror away, cover it at night, or move it entirely, and notice how much more the room feels like a cocoon instead of a stage. Number 3. Excess clothing. Not your wardrobe. The overflow. The chair draped in yesterday's outfit. The clothes that live on the floor in a soft, guilt-inducing heap. The garments that don't fit, don't suit you anymore, but still hang around like unfinished business. Here's what most people miss. Every piece of clutter in your bedroom is a tiny open loop in your mind. A small, unspoken to-do.
Fold me.
Deal with me.
Decide about me.
You don't consciously read them, but your brain registers each one as an incomplete task. Multiply that by 100 objects and you understand why a messy room feels so heavy even when you can't explain it. The Japanese approach isn't about owning less for the sake of looking minimal. It's about owning only what you've actually made peace with. And that peace is what you feel when you walk into a clean room and finally exhale. Number 4. Electronics that glow. We're getting closer now to the ones that really matter, so stay with me. The standby light on the television. The charger with its tiny blue eye. The clock projecting red numbers onto the ceiling. Individually, they seem harmless. Together, they turn your bedroom into a low-grade command center that never fully powers down. Your body reads light as information. Even small amounts, even through closed eyelids, tell your brain that the world is still active, that it isn't quite time to descend into the deepest, most restorative layers of sleep. The Japanese instinct for darkness in the sleeping space isn't aesthetic preference. It's an intuitive respect for how the body was designed to rest. Try this tonight. Cover the lights. Unplug what glows. Let the room become genuinely dark. The difference in how you wake up may surprise you more than anything else on this list. Number 5. The phone by your pillow.
I know.
This is the hard one. This is the object that lives closer to your head at night than any human being ever has. But think about what it actually is. It's the entire world, compressed into a rectangle, sitting inches from your resting mind. Every unanswered message, every notification waiting, every worry you could summon with a single tap. You're not sleeping next to a device. You're sleeping next to every open loop in your life. In Japan, there's a deep cultural understanding of the boundary, the line between the outside world and your private inner space. The phone erases that line completely. It drags the entire noise of existence into the one room that's supposed to be silent. I'm not going to tell you to throw it away, but moving it across the room, even just a few feet, changes something. It's no longer the first thing you reach for and the last thing you release. And in that small distance, you begin to get yourself back. Now, we've handled the visible things, but the next few go deeper into the objects that carry emotional weight you didn't even know you were storing. Number 6. Photos of people you have unfinished feelings about. This isn't about removing everyone you love from your walls. It's more delicate than that. It's the photograph of the relationship that ended badly, still sitting on the shelf. The picture that carries guilt, or grief, or a version of yourself you're no longer sure you like. In Japanese thinking, the objects around you when you sleep are not neutral. They're the last impressions your mind absorbs before you drift off, and the first it meets when you wake. Ask yourself honestly, what is the emotional temperature of the images in your bedroom? Do they warm you, or do they quietly ache? You don't have to make a dramatic gesture, but the faces you fall asleep beneath should be the ones that make your chest feel lighter, not heavier. Number 7. Anything associated with a past version of you that you've outgrown. The trophy from a life you no longer live. The clothes from a body you no longer have. The souvenirs from a chapter that's genuinely over. These objects whisper a quiet message every single night. This is who you used to be. There's a beautiful concept in Japanese culture around honoring things and then letting them go, thanking an object for its role, and releasing it without guilt. Because when your bedroom is full of your past, it becomes very hard for your mind to imagine a future. You sleep surrounded by who you were, and you wake up feeling strangely stuck, without ever connecting the two. Clear the space and you make room, not just on the shelf, in your sense of who you're still allowed to become. Number 8. Clutter under the bed. You can't see it, so it doesn't matter, right? Not quite. There's an old intuition, echoed in Japanese and many Eastern traditions, that the space beneath where you sleep should be open, that stagnant, forgotten things stored directly under your resting body create a subtle heaviness. You don't need to believe in energy to feel the truth in this. There's something about knowing that a chaotic, forgotten pile sits inches beneath you all night. A quiet awareness of disorder, held just out of sight. Clear it out. Let the space under your bed breathe. It's one of those changes you don't expect to feel, and then you do. We're now moving into the final stretch, and these last 4 are the deepest of all. This is where a simple room transforms into something that actually shapes your inner life. Number 9. Noise, even the kind you've stopped noticing. The humming fridge through a thin wall. The clock that ticks a little too loudly. The device that emits a faint, endless whine. You've trained yourself to ignore these sounds, but your nervous system never stopped hearing them. Japanese design treasures silence as a presence, not an absence. Quiet isn't the lack of something. It's a thing you actively create and protect. Because in true silence, your mind finally stops bracing. It stops scanning. It rests in a way it simply cannot when even the faintest noise keeps one small guard on duty. Find the sounds you've stopped noticing and silence what you can. You may discover that the tension you carry into sleep was never really about your thoughts. It was about the room refusing to be still. Number 10. Strong scents that don't belong to rest. The lingering smell of the day. Heavy air fresheners. The perfume of everything except calm. Scent is one of the most direct pathways into the emotional brain. It bypasses logic entirely and lands straight in memory and mood. A bedroom heavy with the wrong smells keeps your senses working when they should be settling. The Japanese sensitivity to subtle, clean, natural scent, or often no added scent at all, reflects an understanding that rest begins before you even close your eyes. It begins with air that feels light. Open a window. Let the room clear. Let it smell like nothing, or like something gentle enough to disappear. And feel how much easier it becomes to simply let go. Number 11. Unfinished projects. The half-assembled thing. The craft you meant to complete. The pile of papers representing a decision you keep postponing. These are perhaps the loudest silent objects of all. Every unfinished project in your bedroom is a promise you made to yourself and haven't kept. And you sleep surrounded by those broken promises, absorbing a quiet, nightly message that you don't follow through, that you're behind, that you're not quite enough.
That's not a small thing.
That's identity. The Japanese practice of keeping the sleeping space intentional protects you from this slow erosion of self-trust. Move the unfinished things out of the room where you rebuild yourself each night. Let your bedroom stop reminding you of what you haven't done, so it can start reminding you of who you actually are. And now, number 12. The one almost everyone keeps closest of all. Number 12. The version of yourself that never gets to rest. This is the thing you can't see, and it's the most important object in the room. It's the part of you that lies down but doesn't stop working. The one still solving problems at midnight. Still rehearsing arguments. Still carrying the whole weight of the day into the dark. You bring that person to bed every single night, and you wonder why sleep feels like something you fight for instead of something you fall into. Everything else on this list, the phone, the clutter, the glow, the noise, they're really just external versions of this one internal habit. The inability to let yourself off duty. The Japanese art of the bedroom, at its very heart, isn't about objects at all. It's about giving yourself explicit, sacred permission to stop. To be, for a few hours, someone with nothing to fix, nothing to prove, and nothing to carry. That's the real thing they never keep in the bedroom. The belief that you always have to be on. Once you release that, everything else on this list becomes easy, almost obvious, because you finally understand what the room is for. So, here's what I want you to notice. Every single thing we talked about points in the same direction. Work, mirrors, clothing, screens, noise, the past, unfinished promises. They all quietly ask something of you. And the bedroom was never meant to ask.
It was meant to give.
You don't need to transform the entire room tonight. You don't need to throw everything out or turn your home into some flawless, empty space. That was never the point. The point is intention. The point is one honest question asked of every object near your bed. Does this help me rest? Or does it quietly keep me working? So here's your small action for tonight. Before you sleep, remove just one thing from your bedroom. One object that doesn't belong to your peace. The phone moved across the room. The chair cleared. The glowing light unplugged. Just one. And notice how the room feels different, how you feel different, lying in a space that finally isn't asking anything of you. Then tell me in the comments, what's the one thing you're removing tonight? I read these, and I promise you, the honest ones are always the most surprising. Someone else needs to hear that they're not the only one sleeping beside a pile of unfinished promises. And if this made you see your own bedroom a little differently, stay close. Because the way you rest shapes the way you live, far more than most people ever realize. Your room has been telling you something for a long time. Tonight might be the night you finally listen.